So small business, it is challenging when you are just looking on the insides of your business, operations, strategy, the unknown unknowns that pop up. But those challenges aren't just within your business. It extends farther. It's the people that you're working with, employees. It's your family, your friends. It goes even deeper. It goes into health, physical health, mental health, and making sure that you're not letting your views slip from those while you're growing your business through your journey. And actually, it's a theme that I think you will find popping up in several of the next sessions. So let's get into it. Michael Palmer, welcome to the show. I'm excited to get into things.
Good to be here with you, John. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. So maybe to start off, warm things up, and we haven't chatted about this before, do you want to do just a quick intro, maybe background, where you're from, how things got started, where you got that first itch for entrepreneurship or business?
Absolutely. Yeah, how much time do we got?
Yeah, okay, we'll go forever, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, for me, kind of a serial entrepreneur. Prior to that, I was with corporate Canada, working for medium-sized companies and one very large global company. And I grew up in Ontario, southwestern Ontario, London, Ontario to be exact. Living around the Toronto area for a while. I played junior hockey, and I went to Business, Travel, and Tourism College, graduated, and then I moved out west. Kind of go west young man back in 1980, and I just came out for a Calgary Stampede and never made it back home. So I've been out here for 44
that
years now.
Lot, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, Stampede does it, people.
Stampede, exactly. In fact, those was kind of the tail end of the boom, and things were happening. The jobs were plenty, and there was lots of offers out there. So it really attracted me to Calgary, and also the problems of Alberta is just the entrepreneurial spirit and the can-do attitude, and just people were just they were willing to connect you with anybody didn't have their hands out. That was just the old Western way of hey,
totally. Lead with giving.
So-and-so, you should meet so-and-so. And you learned that at an early age that I enjoyed doing that too. I love connecting people, and that was it's neat when you get the people together knowing that they should, because there's probably some synergies there is why you're doing it, and totally. There's no reason just for gratification to help someone else out, and and to help them with their personal business or their business. And I'm also a father. I've got two beautiful daughters that are, one's 24 and one's 21. One's still going to UBC in Kelowna and has 1 year left. And that's the most gratifying thing in life, is being a parent, being a dad. It's just, it's a fantastic experience, and always a challenge just to be there. It's very rewarding, and you love that time when you get that time with your daughters. So I grew up playing all sorts of sports, and very competitively, hockey, baseball, track and field, and football, you name it, but loved it. Still love it. Love golf, love tennis. You can, it's just it's a great way to grow up, and it's also a great place to learn teamwork.
Yeah.
By playing sports, that just kind of really transcends into business, and you realize how important teamwork is, and working together as a cohesive unit, sharing a vision. And it's no different in business as it in for a high performance athletic team.
Totally. Yeah, it's very true. And as you say that, I'm actually going to take a note, because it's I think we could even have full conversations about that, the relationship and dynamic between solo sports as well as those team sports. Like, I think a lot of people focus on the team sports, and I totally appreciate that. Like the dynamics that my kids, a little bit younger, my son 10, my daughter almost 13, and in soccer and basketball.
Yeah,
it's really interesting what they're learning, and a different lens. Like, I used to do all that stuff growing up too, but like coming from the parent side, now seeing those connections between what they're doing and decisions and the challenges they have and how they relate to, like, not just the business world, but like the rest of your life. It's powerful and important.
Life lessons there too, right? So, I mean, I'd even take something like golf. Golf teaches you etiquette, teaches you how to, even though it's an individual sport, and you can play in a team environment as well. But lots of little things of treating your fellow golfer with respect, and just learning some of the basic things and manners, and as we talked about etiquette, and just how to challenge yourself, and at the same time respect your fellow players that you're playing with. It's a great lots of great little life lessons in the game of golf.
Yeah, a reset from whatever you're dealing with in life, or just a way to kind of get out of that mental space somewhere different.
Exactly.
So I get that. Coming from the East Coast, a little bit farther east from Nova Scotia, maybe a few years after you coming out to the West Coast, or Western Canada. I appreciate all the reasons why you came out here, and even the people out here, and how they lead with generally giving without thinking about what am I going to get out of it, and the entrepreneurial vibe that happens within Western Canada. Not to say it's not through the rest of Canada, but I think it goes back even to you always think about the Eastern settlers in the U.S. migrating over to, in the early days, over to the West Coast, in California. It brought out all those gold miners, right? It's people that were looking for that entrepreneurial spirit, just a different breed of people. I think there's some of that still exists within the DNA. So when you came out here, was it KLM that you started with, or somebody else?
I started in the travel business and worked for a well-known guy at the time. Unfortunately, rest in peace, was Roger Jarvis Travel.
Okay.
They were probably the largest corporate business travel agency in Western Canada. So I spent 4 years with them, and grew as far as you could. It was a good size at that time. They had eight locations. They consolidated into one major location, which made sense. And basically back in those days, Roger, nobody else wanted to do business travel. They felt there was no revenue in business travel, which is far from the truth. It ended up being, that's when you started seeing groups like American Express travel get into it. Pete Lawson, which is Carlson Wagon Lee, all of them decided, they realized how robust and how good corporate travel was, besides the normal vacation travel, concept. So I did that for 4 years, and then I joined KLM in about late 1985, early 86, just before the Olympics, and spent 12 years with them. And that's kind of where the entrepreneurial spirit really thrived, as much as you really enjoyed being with a global carrier, the world's oldest airline based out of the Netherlands. It was really about entrepreneurism. You had so much of your own autonomy, as much as you still had head office to report to, but you're out seeing customers all day long, 4 or 5 days a week, from travel agencies to tour companies to corporate accounts. So you really got that autonomy and independence to really go out there and make things happen. And I think I realized, wow. And everybody you dealt with actually as customers, most of them own their own businesses. So you felt, I'd like to do that as well.
Right.
When the opportunity comes. So.
Right. So you kind of got exposure to entrepreneurship through entrepreneurship, being in a business, which, it's very interesting because you don't have the risk, you don't have as much upside, but there's a lot of those same characteristics on like the day-to-day operations that are relatable, right? If you can get the runway within a business to kind of run a entrepreneurship type of model. Interesting.
It's good that I worked with a large international carrier, because you also work with, how many cultures that we work with, because we dealt with all those markets, from Italians to Greeks to Turks to, East Indians. And it was just, remarkable to be able to work with that and learn at such a young age of all the uniqueness and all the great foods and all the great traditions of all those cultures. And to learn that kind of respect at a young age, it really, and also how they do business and how they treat people, just phenomenal. You just phenomenal education for me.
Yeah. When you said that, I wasn't thinking about the cuisine, which would have been definitely interesting and enjoyable, but the different dynamics in how business gets executed with the different cultures would have been, I would expect, a learning experience, right? With a little bit of failure in there too, I would expect.
Absolutely. No, I think, there are lots of little many challenges, but that's, you realize how a challenge is always an opportunity. You always
Totally.
looked, it's not a negative thing. It's opportunity. How do we make this? And you're also customer orientated, customer solution. You're looking for trying to find them solutions versus, sure, you want to fill your aircrafts with the right kind of profitable yield, but you're also, if you can help out the dynamics of your customer and their problems, it really goes a long way. And that's
Yeah.
where we did it at KLM. I used to last saying, someone would ask me, what does KLM stand for? I would just say, keep loving Michael. That was my little fun. But it's always about the customer, and you try to find ways of making their lives easy, which, is a positive. And that's what made us stand out, as always being there for our customers and trying to find a solution or a way around a problem or a wall. And
Totally.
it was great experience.
Yeah, one of the characteristics of great businesses in general. And I love that, KLM. Keep loving Michael. This proves why you are that marketing guy as you look through like your LinkedIn profile. It's coming out. Interesting. Okay, so you started with came out west from Ontario. Started with Jarvis Travel, 4 years, which sounds like a exceptional experience. You jumped over to KLM, doing some entrepreneurship, which is great. Kind of getting that bug. And then Departures Travel. Where does that come in? This is where you take off on your own and start running a business? What does that look like? How did that come about?
I came along, and it was very interesting. It started off with a very good friend of mine who was a client, of course. Had a single travel agency here in town known as Creative Travel Adventures. And the concept that they were and we were putting together was take it public and create a roll-on strategy of acquiring traditional mom and pop travel agencies. So we actually, believe it or not, went public, raised the money. It was a penny type stock business back under the days of the junior capital pool days. And you raised all the money we needed to raise, but by the time you're done, we didn't really raise enough to go out there on an acquisition program. With my experience, since I knew most of the owners and operators in travel agencies across Canada with my KLM days, you had personal relationships. So it was easy for me to approach those who you think might be getting tired. Technology was coming in. All of a sudden, there were who was Travel Velocity and Expedia. That was all that, so all of a sudden the traditional bricks and mortar commissions were getting thinner. Tour companies and airlines were cutting back on the incentive programs to travel agencies. So how can you walk in and acquire, I wouldn't say a fixer-upper, but a mom and pop shop that was just looking for an exit, was tired with how the business changed. They weren't keeping up with the times and technology. So it was a great time to come in and do this. But we realized after going public, it wasn't enough money. By the time you paid out the investment banker, securities lawyer, fees, all those fees, you were left with, so much money left, and there's not enough money to go out there and acquire somebody. So we brought a financial partner in. We bought the shareholders out and went private. So there was 3 of us, majority partners, to go out there and start acquiring travel agencies in Western Canada. And we did that. We did that successfully. We had a few dogs that we had picked up, and it's always part of it. You buy something you think is good, you negotiate hopefully a fair price, then you just start picking up the phone and dropping in and talking to some of the owners that and see if they're open to either completely selling or maybe joining our bigger program, which is more of an Omni-Channel type of approach, right? Bricks and mortar, you can book online, you can book anyway. That is more customer centric. How would you like to book your travel?
Right.
We offer that full omni-channel experience.
Interesting. So, and I know there's more to go here, thousands of questions, but
Yeah.
so taking us back for a second there. So the hypothesis that you and your partner had was, let's raise some money, and maybe the best way to get access to capital is go through public markets, kind of like the venture fund. I don't know what it was called back then. So you raise that money, you get it all done, and you go, oh shoot, okay, we don't have enough cash to go out and buy a bunch of businesses, or maybe one business. Okay, so then you quickly said, okay, great, like a typical entrepreneur, this isn't working. How do we change the track? Bought out the existing shareholders, so public shareholders, took it private, and then got on your way again. So I imagine there were learnings through that. It also, from a service level, I think, oh my goodness, that must have been extremely inefficient. So there's a bunch of time that was spent. There's probably like dilution. Was it like really painful to go through that when you got to the other side and had to buy everybody out, or was it more of like, okay, it wasn't so bad on a financial side, it's just a bunch of time we lost? Like, how did you look at that?
Oh, good question, John. Really good question. I'd say learning, exciting, but also painful. Like you say, there was a lot of time and the old stuff is try again, right? So I think there's nothing written in stone. This is the way you should do it. But we got out there and raised the money, and quite frankly, if I was helping entrepreneurs out today, and what I do is when they say, how much are you raising? A lot of times I'd say 9 times out of 10, I'll say you better double that, because you can burn through capital, as you know, business development, marketing, salaries, travel, trade shows. You can go through capital pretty quickly until you catch up with the revenues. So I think the painful part too is also because a lot of earlier days, even though it was only a minimal commitment, but we had friends and family in there too as well, right? They bought shares in the public shell. So that's painful when your friends and relatives take a risk on you and you have to come back and not really give them the exit they're looking for. So that part is, that's the hardship. You have to live with that and move on. It's not how you want to conduct and do business, but but we didn't have much of an option or close our doors. So as you're looking for that, did we find the right money privately? It probably ended up being a bit of a thorn too. So the person wasn't really a good cultural fit for us in the end, but you live and learn and go through that, and we were able to accomplish a lot of things and keep a lot of people employed, and really get them, as I always say too, they're not working for me. All your staff, I'm working for them. It's sure. You're trying to make it a place where you become an employer of choice, that people come to look for you as well because you treat people so fairly. You build a great culture of everybody's idea counts, everybody's opinion counts. How do we collectively come to this and make things really, a fun place to work and a successful place to work, and make sure our staff have what they need to take care of the customers. Happy employees mean happy customers, right? So you just you learned the hard way. I think part of it going, it's great that we went public, that we were able to raise the money efficiently, but we should have been raising at least double or triple that amount, really, compared to what we did in hindsight. Yeah. And these things come in the way. It's a roadblock, but you're trying to find a way around it, even though it may not be the most perfect solution for your friends and family.
Yeah. Totally, 100%. And this is, definitely, let's call it this lesson right there. I've seen that pop up myself, and with a lot of startups and even existing businesses that are raising to go and execute on a new strategy. Usually, everyone is on the low side of estimates, and it's going through what I've seen is like going through, really have an idea of what your costs are in order to execute whatever you're trying to achieve. But also, don't forget about, there's experiments. Like, not everything is going to work out to your plan or your plan B. So how many experiments do you want to have runway for? And I think that's where it kind of comes into this doubling, right? And the unknown unknowns that are going to come in and take you out from kind of coming in from left field.
You do. And we had we ourselves, when we went public, we did everything, it was right at the time that was the right thing to do. We had a good board. The good board, unfortunately, wasn't one that well-heeled, well financed. Each individual was, well off, but they weren't there from even though they were there from day one. They weren't there for the when you needed that extra capital injection, and they didn't have solutions. No, you can't do this, you can't do that. Well, then are you? And I always say, well, then should you not? We're looking at you guys and to participate. That's part of the fiduciary responsibility, and why you don't take sitting on a board lightly. It's
Totally.
It comes with a lot of responsibilities, including financial. So it's so those things are always hard when you get there. Should you talk about those things before you do it and execute and put the business together to make sure that people are on board. If things don't go and you come across, as I say, speed bumps, spitballs, and curveballs, are you going to be there to, be able to invest more?
Help. Yeah. And it's maybe even more than like a capital call, right? Those occur. And sometimes you can get a full capital call that you need, or maybe not everyone partakes and you got to go to outside investment. But I think what you're kind of poking on, and maybe you can elaborate, is I think we kind of brand it as smart money, right? I'm looking for smart money. I want you as an investor, whoever that is. And I also want, what is your expertise that you bring, so that when we're doing strategy or operations or HR or whatever it may be in the business, how can you help give some guidance from your experience? Not to say like exactly what to do, but maybe to say like, know what are the right questions to ask. And where I'll bring it back is, you made a quick comment about that investor. So when you brought that investor in after going public, you said something along the lines of, wasn't quite a good fit. How would you have gone back to do that? And what wasn't the good fit? Was it like a culture or a view of how you guys thought about the future? Like, what was the learning there? And how would you pick an investor maybe differently in the future?
Yeah, excellent. That's always a tough one, right? I think we all struggle with. But I think as much as you like to get investment money, and it's easy to accept a check, but it should be a strategic fit. And I think we've got to do our due diligence a little deeper, a little more probing questions, and get to know each other. Don't be in a hurry. If you're in a rush and a hurry, you make bad decisions. You don't make the best decision. And I think if you do things where you take your time and you look for a fit, and we all know how hard it is to raise capital. It doesn't matter how much is sitting there on the sidelines and dry powder, but everybody's selective. They're all looking for where can they add value. And you're betting on teams. Sure, it's the concept, the business, the vision, but you're really betting on the horses too. Can the horses execute? So if I come in, and do I understand their industry? Do I understand their business and their nuances and their challenges and contingencies? So you want to find that strategic fit. I think strategic capital for all of us in call it the mid to even later stages or even early stages, find that one where that person's in there for the long term. They're patient capital, and they can open up doors too. They're not just going to be, a pretty face cutting a check. It's
yes,
they can add some value, I think, and really understand the uniqueness of the industry, the challenges. And am I cut out for this? Do I really do I feel I can add value? I'd rather no is a good answer. I think no is as much as we all like to hear yes, but no is a good answer. At least you know where it is, where it stands. But you having a strategic fit it makes it more refined. It's harder, but I think you get the right people on the boat that they're in it for the right reasons.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, and it's really, I'm a person that likes to move fast, and it's now at 40, I'm trying to teach. I've started to teach myself, like, okay, just pull it back a bit. Yeah. What's another week? And in general, you don't want to go too slow, but it's totally right. It's like if everything seems to be working and you're jumping in with a new partner or a new investor, maybe just give it a week, let it settle, let it simmer on both sides. And it's interesting how when you just give it time, maybe there's a lesson in general in life. It's like if you give it a little bit of time, how different thoughts come up or on both sides, right? And maybe questions that you need to ask are happening before you actually decide, okay, let's get together and realize, oh shoot, 4 months down the road after everything's been executed, darn, we should have asked this question. It looks like we don't have alignment on something or whatever.
Yeah.
But,
And there's no question that goes back to the day of having a mentor or two, along to it that has some experience in that area you look up to that, because when you first do it, we all think, oh, hey, I can do that. That's no problem. Sure, there's no problem that you'll find a way to do it. But having some of that experience and battle scars and wounds that you've been in the trenches a bit where you just know it's difficult. So it's better to raise more, don't worry about dilution, but raise more so you've got that contingency, for when revenue solves everything. Once you have good revenue, it doesn't matter. But if you're out there seeking capital, just make sure you have enough, of that, your own dry powder in there when you're, when things come along like a black swan event like COVID,
yes.
It's
yeah. When you have the I think I love the analogy double click on that. It's if I repeat it back, it's kind of like revenue or money won't solve it, but it definitely makes it a lot easier if you've got a bunch of challenging questions or challenging issues within the business that you're trying to fix, and you have money constraints, revenue's not coming in, your runway is dwindling down, and now you're getting close to, am I going to be able to, dire straits, not am I going to be able to pay employees? All of a sudden, you've got like a multiplier on your problems now, because are you even going to have people around to help get through this, right? So things start to fall apart. Just takes a little bit of the weight off the shoulders.
For sure.
So moving forward, you got your investor. You are starting to do acquisitions. I think in our pre-call, if I had the number right, you ended up doing about 15 acquisitions within Departures Travel, somewhere around there?
Yeah, somewhere in that number exactly. And then, one had, one group that we had acquired had 5 branches. So so that helped us move along a little quicker and give us a, even a newer head office at that time. So we had acquired a makeshift of Heinz 57. There wasn't one agency was named the same, of course. It was all different brands. And we were leading from at one time. Now you have Creative Travel Adventures, you've got Premier Travel, you've got Red Deer Travel and Tours, you've got Departures Travel. So how do we brand that whole thing and bring it all together and get everybody to buy into that same vision? Because you're coming with 12 to 15 different looks, and how they all think their business is the best one to lead, and who should we be, and who should we try to be, and what market are we best to serve? So you get, and it's important to have all the input from everybody, because you can take the best of the best and leverage that and put that into your mission and your vision, your game plan, to see how, when we come out the other end as a kind of branded unit, what does it look like, and what does the market perceive us? Does the market understand? Do our customers, stakeholders understand who we are, and what expertise do we bring to the game?
Yeah, extremely important. Yeah, what is that vision? What are we working towards? What's a storyline? What's a talk track? So when you started off on this acquisition road, what was the strategy? Was it, were you looking at, we want to get to a certain dollar value just to like grow the size of the business within, I think, like Western Canada? Were you trying to diversify with different types of travel, like the vacations travel that you spoke about, and then the business travel? Was it like this play on, and I actually like this, it's I can't remember what you called it, but it was the kind of like blended mix of booking online or booking with a person, like that.
Kind of an omni-channel.
Omni-channel, yeah.
Omni-channel.
So like, what was the strategy there? Like, ultimately, what were we trying to get to?
I think trying to give the customer the choice they want today, with technology all of a sudden coming in, and that's because of the likes we talked earlier about Travelocity. Someone said, "Who are they? Who no one knows where they are. They're opaque. They're an online. How you can book travel online, and then
I don't know if
Expedia.
I'm
So
comfortable with
people
that.
and everybody
Yeah.
said to Expedia and Travelocity, who the heck are these? We don't can't find a bricks and mortar location. Who are they? Is it some kind of opaque ghost? So I think what we tried to do is give the customer comfort, choice, and control. So if you want to come in, we'd love you to come in the office all the time to book, if it's convenient, just so you can always build that relationship, customer experience, customer service. We'd have our wet Friday afternoons, blue jeans and a glass of wine, right? So a lot of your customers that show up on Friday afternoon to have a glass of wine, some cheese and crackers, really personalize it. Others
Yeah.
were so busy they'd rather be able to just maybe email us, stay in touch by email contact and get it narrowed down and something booked that way, or learn how to book online themselves through our own design automation and portal. So you can now, and we didn't localize it. We were trying to, in the earlier days, we tried to localize the internet, meaning instead of being Travelocity or Expedia, one big massive engine, we thought we'd be, well, if we're in Edmonton, it would be Escape Edmonton or Escape Calgary or Escape Vancouver or Escape
Right.
Victoria. Meaning you don't
Right.
want to escape your city, but you do in the wintertime, you want to get off to some unique experiences or beach time or a cycling trip or a cruise. So you'd find a way that they can help them book that online. That would save some
Right.
time and money and give someone else, hey, they're still supporting you, they're still loyal to us.
Yeah.
And some would
With point.
actually fax in the old days of fax, would fax in, and so you had bricks and mortar, you had automation, you had it all. Any way someone could book travel, we offered that experience. So if you preferred it that way, we could accommodate you that way. So the old omni, meaning multi-channeled experience.
Totally. Yeah. It totally makes sense. And if I, think about case studies and technology and how the industry has evolved from a consumer perspective, because I've never chatted on the business side with anyone before today. So this is interesting for sure. I see it as maybe like the bridge, right? You have the old methodology of brick and mortar going in and booking your travel, or via phone or fax, and fax is still used in some industries today,
Yeah.
which is crazy. And then getting to where where you see the vision of where this will get in, maybe 10 years or so, where it's majority market, everything's being done online. And you kind of need that with, if you think about like crossing the chasm through that book, the early majority, the late majority, etc. Like there's different consumers, customers that are going to get to that next state of the industry with technology, excuse me, at a different period of time. So I think what you created there was really a lot of good option to kind of bridge that. You're able to service what customers need, depending, what their preferences are, and still get them, kind of bring them along the journey of technology. And I also like the piece there that it sounded like you have the local connection. So it's not just you're doing transactions online. There's still this local kind of feeling, buy local, which, it's interesting. We're now coming back to that post
Yeah.
COVID, right?
Yeah.
So maybe a bit of a cycle
No,
there.
it's very, very cool. I think that's important too. And I think that's what we realized back in the earlier days of making sure, hey, we're everybody's joining a bigger, larger picture, but we still want to be personable. We still want to be local, like you said, and we still nothing's going to change except that we're going to even give you even better service than we could before, and hence why you're acquiring agencies, you're acquiring clientele, you're acquiring book. Sure, you get the assets too. You need tables, you need
Sure.
desktops, computers to operate, but really you're coming in to buy a book, and sometimes the owner might stick around for a while because you want to make sure that the business stays there, right? And you want to make sure
Totally.
you tie up the senior staff because they're the ones that have the real strong relationships as well. And as
Yeah.
much as business owners want to say it's about us, it's the hard part is clients do build their relationships with your staff, right? So you got to make
Very,
sure they're happy and they're going to stay, which means the customers will stay.
yes, 100%. It's a question We'll get into it today, but what I am focused on these days is small businesses and acquisitions. And that is something that always comes up. You're thinking about, do all the customers have direct relationships with the existing owner or owners? And when
Yeah.
Sally, the owner, or Bob goes, do
Yeah.
50% of my customers go? And the answer is always no, no, no. It's like they're connected to
Yeah.
the business and the people. And maybe that's true, but
Yeah.
it's definitely something to keep a pulse on as you go through due diligence and transition. But
Yeah.
because it is about people, like, and it's a very common theme, right? The companies that focus on, hyper focus on people, and not just customers, right? It's like customers, employees, vendors, everyone that's connected to the network of your business. Those are the ones that tend to succeed.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's crystal clear, right? I think it's how can you make it the most, exponential customer experience? And I think that's what we're always everybody's striving to do, to make sure that the minute you take your thumb off the gas pedal, it's you're in trouble, right? You can't. You just continuously have to. And when you make mistakes, fess up. Sorry, that was us. You don't want to hear someone else say, "Well, it was really that person's fault and that person's fault." Customer service, they let them vent. So a lot of times they just want to vent. Did you hear me? Can you fix it? Great. Thank you for listening. Instead of just, as I always say, I don't like to point fingers, but the old Air Canada way is you stand there and like, do you guys really know what customer service is? And it's,
Yeah.
and there are exceptions to that, of course, but it's just sometimes
sure.
you just in today's world, it moves too fast, and people's demands are sometimes a little bit more. Their expectations are a little higher than they should be, but it's okay. You're paying for it, right? So you just want to be treated like a person, and it's not rocket science. You really
100%. And would you say, like, even in those, we'll call them like the outlier cases, the I don't know what to call them, like the crazy customer, right? It's they've had a bad day, like you don't know what is in their world, what's going on, and somehow you were at the right spot at the wrong time, I guess, and you're gonna get it. You're gonna be taken out on by them. But would you say that there's always something there to learn? Like, even if it's nothing to do with you, could there actually be a learning there that can improve how you work with those customers, or how you have a process, or like anything to uncover there?
not really. You know what? It's just being use both ears, less talking, right? So I think understanding, really listening to what they want, and we used to have a standard joke through the entire industry with when people come into the airport, they've already checked their brain in before they got into the airport. So people are sometimes very disorientated, no matter how well traveled they are in airports, or they're overwhelming, they're fun, they're exciting, they're all. And you can tell how many people walk up to the wrong counter and want to check in, and well, sorry, they're down there, but it's just the way it is. There's a million stories you can talk about, but I think it's really just always listening to the customer, and whether they're right or wrong, just let them vent. And I think you learn a lot about people and nuances and characteristics of how to really to tune in and listen to what they're saying and what they're looking for. And a lot of times, if they just get it off their chest, they're happy. And if you take accountability and fix their problem, you've got a loyal passenger, a loyal customer forever. And it doesn't take that much to do that. So I think you do. I think anybody who works in the travel industry are, as much as everyone wants to complain about, they understand customer service and understand people more than any other industry itself. It's just it's just invaluable experience, especially at the airports. You just see so many, and people are traveling because they've death in the family, all sorts of, you look at what 2008 did with the, with the mortgage company shut down and all that, and transition to COVID, what it did to travel. But people, when they came outside of COVID to start traveling again, their expectations were dialed up.
Hmm.
and airports didn't have the staff. They didn't staff up. Neither did airlines or anybody. They weren't ready for
Totally.
this massive boom of, okay, we've been locked up for 3 years. Now we're loose. We're going to
Yes.
travel like we've never traveled before. So it's crazy.
Yeah. And then during that COVID period too, it's low on staff, trying to get ramped up, trying to bring
Yeah,
staff back after what's happened, which is tough. And then I think if my memory is correct, they had like a 1980s software that went sideways on them, and now like
yeah,
nothing's working for bookings. This was maybe that was end of COVID, because I know my
yeah,
parents were like 2 weeks late for Christmas. But what do you
yeah,
do? Like these things happen. Update your
yeah.
software.
No,
But
it is, and I think and it just a lesson there for us. When we all travel, it's hard not to get caught up in our own little personal worlds. It's all about me, but just you just have to take a deep breath, and and
yeah,
I can
totally.
tell you right now, if someone's going to help someone who is a little more cooperative than someone who is just being nasty. It's just it's just like the movie Trains, Planes, and Automobiles, right? You see when Steve Martin comes up to the car rental counter, right? And it's just it's it's all that stuff, and just as much as we all want to be served and taken care of, just and there's a lot of horror stories out there that are happening, and bad customer service, but just you'll get further.
Oh yeah.
It's
All the
happened.
social
Just take a
media.
deep breath and just
Yeah, totally. Maybe we'll park that one, which is, it
yeah.
sounds like, to summarize, it's like the most challenging customer, you should take a second look, because they probably have your largest opportunity
Mhm.
to compete, right? It's like, what can you learn from them, and move forward to do better than all of your competition?
Exactly, and that's like you say, it's a great lesson for all business, right? Exactly. You'll find that big challenge is really the big opportunity.
Awesome. So just want to make sure we're conscious on time here. We could chat for hours. I know it.
Oh
We've
yeah,
already did so in the pregame, which is great. So mental health was part of our chat, and you shared some stuff, hoping if you're good with getting into it. I know that you had a cancer diagnosis, many years ago. Where did that come in? And like, if you're okay chatting about it, like, where did that come in? What were the challenges during this period? I don't even know where it happened. Was it like like early career, or while you're like doing these acquisitions? Where did that happen?
oh, good question. Early career, no, and I think for me to talk about it, that if I can help others, that's what it's all about. I always kind of look at the bigger picture, as much as you're going through that, but at the same time, how can you help others,
Yeah.
and to be more transparent about it. And we all handle things differently, but I think the mental health and the physical health. The first time, I've beaten cancer twice, two different types of cancer. In 1990, and I person again who was very active, playing every sport, working out 5 times a week, but also working 24/7. Just it really, you think you're taking care of yourself, but you probably weren't.
Yeah.
And so he came across back in 1990 and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and they had written me off. They didn't think I was going to make it towards the. It took them a year to diagnose it, and they finally found out. And we treated that. In the last seconds, it was the best motivational speech that I ever had. That I'm not about to pack it in, and I've got a lot of years ahead of me, and I'm not about to call it a day. So I think I've always been mentally tough, and
Yeah.
I've been like anybody else, mentally vulnerable as well. You're human. You have these things and these challenges, and you look at the saying, you can either climb that mountain or you can't.
Right.
It's your choice whether you climb it. My choice was, I'm going to climb that mountain, and I'm going to defeat this so I can move forward, and at the same time I'll be able to help out others, which I've been fortunate enough to be able to do. And
Yeah.
then again, I had a different type of cancer in 2013, and went through all of the challenges there, but I was probably well prepared. Not that you want to go through that again. Since I went through the experience before, I was probably more prepared than most at protocol and what you can do and staying positive. And you're going to
Right.
have your down moments. You're going to feel like you've been beaten up, and that's just the. But when you come out the other end, you're going to be that much more gratitude and looking at life even in a different, higher pedestal of
Totally. Like what's really
realize
valuable.
how important life is, and taking care of yourself and getting back in. So they were both at very busy times of my life and growth. And I was very fortunate to have great supporting family, friends, partners. Back in 1990 would have been KLM, and they were amazing. Yeah, but I was out there working. I just kept with all the stuff, losing my hair, and all that. I just people couldn't believe I'd be out there knocking on doors and said, "Shouldn't you be just home recovering?" And I said, "No, why?
Yeah.
I can do that when I go home after 5, but there might be days you don't have the energy, so then you have to take it easy. But I'm out there. I enjoy what I do, and I think it's an example to show people that even though you're going through this challenge, that you can show people that there is battles, but you're out there to battle it. You're out there showing that cancer can be beaten, and it does. It's amazing, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that
So,
led into
so,
my yeah.
yeah, I was just gonna say, like, it's, I can't even imagine the definitely ups and downs. I've had some health stuff, nowhere near the same magnitude of what you've obviously gone through. Um, and like, I think that positive mindset is so incredibly valuable. It's also challenging, I think, to not have that internal voice, which is typically always negative. It's never positive. So it's like, how do you get
Yeah.
away from that? And I think it's usually people. And I think you commented on it. It's like, very busy times, 1990, 2013, but you commented on family, right? Friends,
Yeah.
colleagues. So this support structure, were you, obviously that was important to you, and that was part of getting through those periods of time successfully. Were you focused on making sure that those people surrounding you, the support infrastructure, were those positive mindset people, and kind of filtering out any negative or people that might not be contributing to where you had to keep your headspace?
Good one. I was fortunate that not so much. I think more on the positive support. I had friends that would, with some friends and peers that were better, of course, because it's in their DNA. They're better at it and
Yeah.
getting out there, and they just wanted to show it. So I think I look back. I have no negative thoughts. I learned how to turn the inner voice off,
Mm,
meaning hey, you can't do this. You can't do it. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
totally.
And I think you had that friends and
Beat it
family.
to submission.
My own, family, mom and dad, always very supportive. There was concern, and you could tell, but
Hmm.
they just know they weren't going to give up, because I never gave up on them either. Even when my mom went through a challenge when I was younger, that I was always a positive force to kind of, you can get through this. This is okay. This is, it's a setback, but you're going to be better when you come out, when things heal. And that's why I was fortunate enough to have that kind of support as well. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of times when people are going through it, everybody wants to write them off. Or even,
Mm,
Betty and Janet and Bob got cancer. Oh, that's not good. But I think and that's sometimes the family, the immediate family, is the more negative sometimes, where they're just devastated just as much as the person going through it.
right.
It's to me, when I also donated my time and gave and paid it forward, was to help out the families, keep them positive. Because if you're not positive, they're going to feel that negativity. And I think no matter what the final outcome is, or what it looks like, or how challenging it looks right now, you got to be there and make it look positive, and
Yeah.
without looking superficial, really, because that's going to make a difference of how they uh, how they get through this. And you're there. You've got to be, and as hard as that is to do, because it may not be in your own personal DNA to be that. You might be more of a realist than
Yeah.
over positive, but you have to,
Yeah.
as
Lean
I
the other
say,
way. Yeah.
change your face to your adapted face. And sometimes you have to somewhat fake it to make it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. Interesting. And like, as you talk through this, see if you agree, when I think I kind of opened with this is entrepreneurs are very focused on the challenge ahead,
Yeah.
making the business work, growing the business if that's the objective, and making sure you don't do that all with forgetting about other areas of your life, family, friends, social health, mental health. So making sure that all plays a part. And, in my view, I kind of think balance isn't really balance. It's at any one point of time, something's winning and something's losing, but just don't stay in that phase for too long and it has to shift back. Right. And that's like the constant teeter totter. But I think what you've done here or what I've heard is during those times where you're going through cancer treatment, in those periods, you're also going to work. So it's kind of the opposite lens is, yeah, now you're, I think, really focused on like my health, getting through this, what does this road ahead look like? But you're also making sure, if you're able to, I guess, and healthy enough to do so, like getting out there and staying engaged with work and keeping your mind in that game. And like, would you say that was a big benefit because you're able to, right? Maybe not everyone can do that, but making sure you keep those different pieces of life going. Do you think that helped overall with like progressing through those stages of life?
Yeah, I think very much so. I think you would say that makes life more normalized in a sense. So you realistic. And if you turn everything off, all of a sudden you just feel like you're just on this lonely pedestal, trying to survive versus trying to grow and have balance. Listen
Sure,
to your
yeah.
body. And the old adage: if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. You really don't. So we know how
Totally.
both physical and mental health is, and it's okay to talk about that when you're down and you're up. It's the key words we hear so much about vulnerability is an important key leadership DNA. It's true because it just makes you more human instead of being this manager leader by intimidation. It's you're a person,
Yeah.
and and we're not all perfect.
Yeah.
Life is not a straight line. Business is not a straight line. We know it's curving
Yeah.
its way through, and so I think having balance, and as much as you may not be feeling up to that balance on the day because you're not feeling great, you feel like you're beaten up somewhat. You just got to get back on that horse and do it. And some days, like when I work out, if I don't have the energy that you need as you heal, you'll do it at a certain part of the day where you have more energy. The old days
Totally.
of getting up at 5:30, where you'd be that first person up at West Side Rec Center.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Now you'll be you got to find your body and also listen to your body, what you can do, and still participate. So I think balance is key, and but enjoying life and being part of life while you're going through any kind of challenge is important.
Yeah.
Don't isolate yourself.
Adapt.
Reach
Yeah.
out. Do what you have to do. Uh, to get out there, and it may go against your grain, but it's also okay. You also need that you time.
Yeah.
So listen to that
Totally.
as well, because we all need our own quiet time, and learn how to say no. And sometimes no is going against what you want to do. You want to say yes, but no sometimes is the right thing, and
For
that's
now.
okay.
Yeah. 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 Totally. There is time. Yeah, interesting. Just looking at time here, I might skip ahead a little bit. So successful exit of the travel business, and I wanted to jump ahead a few years to more recently.
Yeah, the Inosol Health, which our brand product is, SolveStrips.
SolveStrips, yeah. I've read a little bit more about that. So maybe what's bring us to current day. And I know there was when we connected for a pre-call and chatting and just catching up from 10 years of not really one-on-one chatting. You told me about another health experience you went through, which absolutely floored me. Like you're made of iron. You just keep going through this stuff. It's phenomenal. I can't believe it. So if you wanted to touch on that too, I think that's really interesting. You're still chugging along, and then interested to hear a bit about this business and how's it been going and what the future looks like. What are the plans?
Really good. Yeah. Yeah. First, I'll just quickly go on the health. And yeah, I think from some of the past treatments of getting me through cancer, some of that was radiation. I think radiation caused some of the challenges with my heart, and where I went in for bypass surgery a year ago, January. Excuse me. And they lost me on the table. They had to jumpstart me and carry on from there. So from there on in, I spent about 10 months in healthcare, and all the things that normally you'd be out in a week, back and recovering and going from there. And we had some worries that the past radiation has caused some problems and challenges what could have reared up during surgery, and it did. So the next 10 months was really 2 steps forward, half a step backwards, and anything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And then I got out of care in October and got back to life and enhanced, and I just never stopped, never gave up. Just as much as I know my family was scared to death, but it was their support and love and friends and peers that got together, and they're all there in heart and soul, and just my strong will to. I'm not ready to check out of the world yet, and I know we all know it's somewhere down the road. We don't all last a lifetime and live forever, but it wasn't my time yet, and so you carried on, and the business had to carry on without me while I was in there, and kind of touch on that. Inosol Health, SolveStrips. We've been around for 5 years, and we are kind of a life science consumer packaged goods company. We formulate vitamin supplements, and we use a unique drug delivery platform known as oral thin film. So most of us know we're familiar with Listerine breath papers. You see them at every drugstore, point of sale. They've been around for 20 years, owned by Johnson & Johnson. That's kind of the technology. Johnson & Johnson never took the technology beyond that. And so we formulate things like vitamin D, electrolytes, melatonin for sleep, and energy. We've got another 20 products that we'd like to commercialize. We've got an equine recovery strip that works great for hydrating horses, especially after a long run or being trailered. And we also, together with the University of Georgia, formulated a unique athletic performance strip that increases your performance by 5%. And of course, what typical universities do with their IP, they license it back to us. So we're out there looking for a strategic partner with that strip. Well, we're just across the goal line. We sell our products with our own Shopify store. We're on Amazon.com, Walmart.com. Even though we're a Calgary-based company, we have a U.S. subsidiary, and we're in 100 plus U.S. retail locations and growing. We think we have another 500 stores coming online in the next 45 to 60 days, and throughout the North Carolina and the Florida Panhandle. And awesome. We're not selling on shelves. We're doing test pilots here locally. You'll find us at the Glencoe Club. Down there, you'll see us at we were at the Alberta Tennis Center. Some of the independent drugstores can carry it. We're FDA compliant. We're not Health Canada compliant per se because we haven't filed for our natural product numbers so we can put them on the shelves of Shoppers and London Drugs and Superstore. We are going to do that. But so we're an early growth stage company now, just across the goal line. And now we're also raising acceleration and growth capital as well. So revenues, looking for those purchase orders at the same time as we acquire some acceleration, strategic capital, so we can get 10 more products packaged, and marketing and all that stuff that really can, we've done some private labels. We've done with an Australian company. We did some holistic mushrooms, not psychedelics.
Oh. Yeah.
Like lion's mane and turkey tail. and we think the equine strip is going to be a real hit. And so far, some of the veterinarians and throughout the Western USA are actually loving it because they're seeing that their horses are actually drinking more water, which is important. And we know how much people like to invest in their horses, such as Spruce Meadows and Kentucky Derbies and the Preakness and you name it.
Polo, yeah, totally.
So that's where we're at. Yeah, so we have lots of trials and tribulations and battle scars, but it's been a fun journey.
Brilliant. And you've been doing this for how many years? When did you guys start?
We did it for 5 years, and about 4 years prior to that, we did a fair bit of R&D and restructuring, and we learned the hard way. We learned it's like being an entrepreneur, and you may not say, well, how do you get experience in life sciences and biotech, med tech, and consumer packaged goods? You just learn it, right? You get out there and I think we're very fortunate today with resources that are at our fingertips, such as the internet. There's just an invaluable amount of information and due diligence you can do.
Yeah.
And we have lots of, and our ecosystem here in Alberta has really become second to none, as you know, John. Look where it's gone in 20 years. When you first came on as an angel investor, and now with the platform Calgary's, Innovate Calgary, Intergen here, Thin Air Labs, Panache Ventures, the whole venture capital, the angel forums, angel memberships have grown exponentially across the country. I sat on the National Angel Capital Board for a term, and it's amazing what they're doing now.
Yeah.
Our good friend Sandy Gilbert, who runs Intergen and chaired NACO, she's doing some amazing things, and it's great to be part of the Intergen, platform as well. It's really, entrepreneurs have a really great chance now to succeed and have the mentoring.
There's a lot more
coaching. Yeah, it truly has. Like I said, to add to that, it truly has come exponentially, and it's not just the education for entrepreneurs. I think for the angels, the amount of education that's being spread out there to help new angels that are coming into it want to invest in private companies and learn about that. And we always say, learn it the right way. We came in, we didn't have all that in place. We just, we had a great group of people, and it was, it's from Valhalla, VA Angels, and now with Startup TNT here, with Jade and what he's doing there, and Zach Storm in Edmonton. And it's really sit back. It's really unbelievable to watch, and to see and what the amount of people who are sacrificing their time for the ecosystem and their hands aren't out. They're just there. They want to see this.
Get back. Totally. Yeah. And I think there's better opportunity it's a broader spectrum of entrepreneurs that have support now. It's looking at the world I came from, which is, I'll call it the 0 to 1, the startup, mostly tech, but there's other stuff in there as well, like where you guys were. There's lots of different support, and you have options to make sure that you're matching up, from a business to investor perspective, finding the right investors through these different organizations, for an example, or support and expertise. You kind of know where to go. There's 5 or 6 different places you can go to kind of figure out who's the right match. And there's even more on the 1 to N businesses. So, looking in entrepreneurship through acquisition, buying businesses from generally baby boomers that are looking to retire. There's a lot of plays there that have, new technologies, et cetera, which have support definitely within Alberta. That's, what we're more familiar with. I've seen some in BC, but across Canada, which is great, right? It's great for generally small business throughout the world, but focused on Canada really these days, which is really the foundation of our ecosystem or our economy, which is great. I think it's going to be fruits of the labor. It's going to pay off in the coming decades. So a quick question. I know we're kind of up on time, but we'll keep going a little bit if you're good with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So and I could go forever, and I'll try to pull back a little bit. But so the like bottom line on top with this product, SolveStrips, I'm looking at your webpage right now. I didn't realize that you had so many more products potentially coming out. You're going to raise some capital. The horses being a customer, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Now I got to go read about that later. Like, what is the bottom line on top? What is the value proposition here? Like, why the SolveStrips versus the alternative, which I assume is like putting these products into like a liquid or some other way of consuming?
Great question. Lots of things. First of all,
Okay,
helping everyone with their health and wellness, I think we can find a better deliverable,
sure.
make it less evasive. The stat that we have, the source code that we have, 45% of the global population will not or cannot swallow a pill. Of that 45%, 23% are classified as medically dysphagic. In other words, they can't swallow pills or have a real challenge. And a lot of that is probably because they've had treatments of throat cancer, any type of cancer in the neck area that causes the muscles and the swallowing to constrict.
Right.
Anybody there is Dr. Jana Rieger in Edmonton that has True Angle that focuses on helping patients with their self-care and doing their dysphagic exercises. So I think for us, also the efficacy and the bioavailability of strips. Since the strip melts on your tongue, it's even better than sublingual. It gets absorbed through the cheek lining. We call that the buccal mucosa.
Sure.
So the active melts, most strips will melt in 5 seconds on your tongue. The active will get in your bloodstream within 3 to 5 minutes. So it's the next fastest, the only thing faster is an injection to get into your bloodstream. And to have that, so it's the first bypass of your liver and your GI tract. And why even melatonin, our melatonin strips work better than swallowing capsules, tablets, pills, because your liver does not like melatonin. Even though our bodies produce melatonin, the computers, as we know, unless it's on blue screen, steal our natural melatonin. So we have a hard time sleeping.
Yeah.
That's why it's good to turn your electronics off early at night, as we all know we're all guilty of that. But the liver with ours, since the liver doesn't get a chance to play with it, it's going into your bloodstream, most of it. Our pills get the melatonin get demolished. The liver does not like it, so it kills it. So we've got study papers to support that. So it's the problem with gummies. Everybody's now taking gummies, and gummies help those easier to swallow because you can chew them up. But most gummies, even though they're coming out with sugarless ones, but most of them have sugar and tons of binders. So there's a whole bunch of I hate to use the word crap in gummies, but there is. They're not pure. And pills, tablets, capsules, the efficacy is closer anywhere from 35% to 65% versus strips that are closer to 90%. So that's the advantage. And you know yourself being a dad. Did your children love taking pills?
No, that's still going through it now. Yeah, exactly.
And seniors, right? Because seniors now, you say boomers and seniors, taking all the pills they do. So if you can make that easier, that's why you got into it. And it's not easy. It's an educational with the medical profession, the doctors and nurses, and us consumers. Why would I want to take a strip? Is it just a novelty, or is there a real compelling benefit of taking strips? And that
makes sense.
So it's kind of how we got into it and do it. It's not for the faint heart, and it's not the easiest thing, and especially trying to get them on retail shelves as you start to gain momentum. But I think it's we heard nothing but very positive from U.S. retail buyers saying, "Wow, these are amazing. And we're not the only guys in town. There are some competition, which we need. We need to bring. We look at it differently. We're one of the first ones to market, but we're competition just helps bring recognition, education to the actual,
totally.
Tablets, pills, capsules, they're all mass produced. So they've been around for 3,000 years. So we know it's, but you'll find that things are, there's liquids. There's, you watch all the triathletes take their pace.
Yes,
but
totally.
But if we can give you electrolyte strips and energy strips that are that are approved that you still need to hydrate. But if we can get an energy strip on your tongue, it's going to melt in 5 seconds. And all of a sudden you get this nice even boost that you feel you can keep on going versus trying to grab a gel pack.
Oh, man.
And,
they're nasty. And like they're all like, maybe I'm just dying out there when I'm doing my 10K runs. I've been doing for a while, but like ends up going all over you. And some people are going to listen and be like, why are you even taking that on a 10K run? That's like a quick jog, but it's like a marathon to me. Yeah, it makes sense. And I think you're right. I won't be able to speak to it extremely intelligently, but it's kind of on the same lines of Tesla and Elon, right? Is he encouraged more competition because of the need for educating and getting higher adoption, a faster adoption rate of electric vehicles in the market, right? It's the same kind of thing. Is you want to be the best in the market, but if you can help other competitors kind of bring it along, net, that's, I think, good for you, right?
But we all win, exactly it. And I think we're in an economy as much as we're in that digital artificial intelligence economy, but we're in this as a friend of mine calls it, customer experience economy, but also the vast expectation economy. We all expect to get results like this quickly.
Instant.
We don't have the patience anymore. We need to have we need to be satisfied right away. And that's, I think so the expectations, what have you done for me lately, right? People are just, their expectations are.
Yeah, totally. And I'll probably be going out to figure out how to get some of these SolveStrips and look at your full product line. I love everything that is little experiments around health and trying to get better. And if you guys have magnesium, I'll probably go buy those, because right now for sleep, we won't get into this, but like sleep is always, at least for the last 2 or 3 years, has been an extreme challenge for me. There's times where it's like 8 hours, it's perfect. Unfortunately, going through right now, I was up for 2 hours last night. I'm averaging like, 4 or 5 hours at a time, which is brutal. So trying to do little experiments, and these magnesium pills, I'm taking 3 of them. So to help with sleep, but they're like, I call them like horse pills, man. If those were on, I choke on them every once in a while before going to bed. So it'd be great if there is something just easier. And like, there's no way, not that my kids are taking them, they don't need to, but there's no way kids can take those or those massive multivitamins. So it makes sense. It makes sense that there's
even the omega-3s, right? The omega-3 pills are massive, the size of your baby finger, right? And potassium pills too. They're all big, right? But what you could try is our melatonin sleep strips. We do have magnesium. So one of our 20 plus products that are ready, that are commercial ready, but they're just not branded. What we're trying to do is like let retail tell us what would they like to see next. We don't want to, as you say, trying to be a smart entrepreneur. We just don't want to build and they will come. We'd rather
doesn't work.
Tell us what you want next, and then we can spend the investment, even though it's small, but we can at least spend the money on getting the print, plates done and have that done and invest that. So we do have magnesium. It's ready to go. So we lots of opportunity there.
Yeah, interesting. Awesome. Well, that was good. I enjoyed the conversation. I guess maybe just kind of tune things out here now, finish things up. Thinking about what to leave people with. Well, I'll have some links when I actually go and issue this out within the next week or so. Contact information. Best way to get a hold of you via like LinkedIn or other preferences if people want to reach out?
You can reach out through LinkedIn for sure. That it's a valid email address on there. Or you can reach out to probably the best one might be Michael at palmco.ca.
Okay, awesome. Brilliant. So yeah, I'll put those in the notes. I'll put your company link in the notes as well. And I know we chatted a little bit about what you potentially want to leave people with. I think and I'll let you speak to it. I think there's something around, people are going through tough times through their journey, challenges through their businesses, maybe some health challenges too. Sounds like you might be open to chatting about that. And then also, if you wanted to add on, you mentioned that you're currently raising for the growth stage of the business. I don't know if there's you want to put a plug in looking for specific types of investors, or maybe you've got that all handled? If you want to comment.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess first and foremost, I think the lead take is feel that it's a weakness that you have to reach out and ask for support and help, whether that be with the business. Business is so sophisticated, doesn't matter what industry you're in, but the more help you can get, it just, and whether it's a mentor or two, or a coach, or your peers, your like-minded peers out there in the industry, that reach out. That's okay. It's a sign of strength. Even when it comes to physical and mental health too, reach out. I know it's hard. People want to show that as I don't want to show my weakness, but that's a strength. I think that this day and age, we cannot wait and watch things happen that could have been avoided. So we're all there to help out. I myself personally, whether it be business or personal, I'd be more than glad, not that I'm a cure, but I would certainly be a positive influence to why it's important to communicate, and when it's not your natural DNA to reach out. I think that's important. And I think having that unstoppable mindset, finding solutions, being solution orientated, mistakes, challenges are opportunities. And we learn from those and move on. So I think that's important. I think we just, and continue to be I always say leaders are readers. It's not my line. I didn't coin that. It doesn't mean you have to go out there and read a book. Maybe it's easier for you to listen to your favorite podcast every week.
Totally.
Or, subscribe to the Cole's Notes version. And I know we all get inundated, as someone coined, we live in an era of Google apocalypse, where it's just we get so much communication from LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and then just the general internet, all the stuff that comes at us. It's how do you siphon what's relevant to you and stay focused. So I always say, if it's not just a hardcover or a soft cover book, something just where you're continually always working on you, not in the business, but on you. How do you grow? You never stop growing. You never stop learning. You never stop finding better ways to be a better person. And how can you pay it forward? So I can leave on that, say note. And for us on the business, our business, Inosol Health and SolveStrips, with the acceleration growth capital, we can still look for angel investors, but also strategic investors, those who understand life sciences and consumer packaged goods, and along those lines would be very, very helpful to us. And even though we're a little older, longer in the tooth, we're coachable too. We're never as much as we are out there to help others. We're all out there to find smarter people than ourselves. And today's generation of entrepreneurs are brilliant. They're bright. They're doing it the right way. They are reaching out. They're being coachable. As we always say, sometimes founderitis gets in the way. Don't let founderitis get in the way. It's okay. There's just too many moving parts. We can't know it all. We need, it's okay to ask for help. It's investors appreciate that too. I think that that they want to know that you're approachable, and at the end of the day, they're betting on the horses. Can they execute? Can they accelerate? Can they grow it? Regardless of the disruptive vision of what they think they can do, but can they deliver it? And are they open to constructive feedback and things? So it's
totally. And it's and this comes up once in a while, or actually very often, is age is just a number, right? We get a lot of, if you look at, everything gets pushed to us through social media, movies, news, etc. It's always, at least it seems like, it's the 19-year-old, 25-year-old that is, running all these businesses. But it's not the case. Like there are a lot of, and I've seen more and more of this in the last several months on my journey, is there's lots of 60-year-olds, 65-year-olds that are now buying businesses and like building businesses. Like age is, it's a number. And, sure, there's pros and cons to all of it. And there's always good with it, right? It's as long as you have, kind of coming back to your comment, is like, it's the characteristics, skill sets, maturity of the individual that you're really evaluating, not just, are they 20 years old or 40 or whatever. Well, Michael,
Soft skills and soft skills are so important. All that of building relationships, integrity and trust, right? Really connecting. I think that's
totally.
And I think we're finding out after this post-COVID how important it is. As much as we've got the hybrid workforce, it's really building relationships, building a culture that is dynamic and fun. If it's not fun, is it really worth, then look for something else. You got to keep it fun, keep it and reward people, and also recognize people. Don't take the credit yourself. It's, it's the people around you that are, make sure people are well aware that you've got some sharp folks around that are delivering just the amazing wow factor.
Totally. Yeah. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah.
Sprints are just within the marathon at times. And it's definitely about the people that are on the journey, because all of those self-made women, self-made men, self-made people, the ones that are actually speaking the truth will tell you, no, there's no self here. Like, I might look like I'm getting all the pain and doing everything, but there's many more people behind the scenes and that have helped to get them there. So,
and celebrate your wins, right? And celebrate your wins.
Yes,
you have to. Yeah.
Yes, that is one that I tend to forget about, and have people that remind me. Celebrate the little wins; they're important. Well, Michael, thank you so much. It's been great to chat with you. Thanks for the additional time. I know we went a little bit over. I think that will be a reoccurring theme, because I love chatting with people about their stories and what they've learned and what they've gone through their careers. You're a man of iron with all of the health challenges you've gone through. I think there's lots of learnings that people will relate to, and I hope they get value out of this. So I think we can wrap it up from here. Like I said, I'll add in some contact information to the show notes, and I'll get this out within the next week or so. I'll pass you along the link, and I look forward to chatting with you again sooner than later.
John, thank you. It's such an honor to have me on your podcast, and it's been a blast. I've had a lot of fun.
Thank you. I appreciate it.